The soul thing in Minds of Nations rests on two questions and my two speculative answers. I try to borrow some concepts from religion, but at the same time I modify them quite a bit. So the two questions and their answers are: if reincarnation exists, what does that mean on large timescales for complex societies? How would people that have lived for 200 lives be different than someone in his first life? And how would that affect the world? Our answer: there must be some difference from a person that just joined the planet to one that has lived 200 times. Their desires might be different in certain ways, their ideas might be different. And the second question: can you stop reincarnations? Can you go somewhere else? Can you live in a different place? Our answer: yes, you should be able to stop reincarnations and go to other worlds after some type of metric is reached. So, from these two answers we extract three concepts: desire, ideas, and freedom. Souls have desires that keep them on a planet. Souls generate ideas on that planet. Think of Minecraft. You join a server because you have some kind of desire to play and experiment. Whilst there, you produce lots of new ideas to improve the experience. And after some time, you are free of that desire and just leave the game. That's freedom. You are free to join other games, other experiences. In Minds of Nations, we consider societies like a simulation, a Minecraft server at the soul's level. A soul is free to stop reincarnations and leave the country, human biology, and the planet after the desires related to their world are extinguished and many ideas are left behind. Desire as gravity. Thus, we consider that a soul chooses a planet to take multiple births there because that planet exercises a kind of gravitational pull via the agency of desire. Your desire to live in a society somewhere pulls you and keeps you there. Once enough about that planet is experienced, you are again freed from that gravitational pull. When we think of a soul, we think of something immaterial, something very light. When we remember a fleeting want versus a strong desire we once had, we can sense a different weight between the two, between a fleeting want and a strong desire. A chocolate at the store versus a woman we are really fascinated with. The latter elicits strong sensations which can be associated with weight, while the former has a lighter quality to it. It's not as hard to carry. Desire as spatiality. When we think of desire, we can also consider it in terms of space. For comparison, wanting to get rich yourself now versus wanting your country to prosper. When we consider both of these things in terms of spatiality, one feels closer and the other further from us. Common souls, noble souls, ascetic souls, and freed souls. Okay, so based on what was outlined before in Minds of Nations, we have separated the stages of progress of souls from joining a planet to leaving a planet, from strong sensorial desires to a desire for peace and freedom, from claustrophobic and desperate wants to relaxed long-term desires, from personal desires to communal desires, and from communal desires to transcendental desires. There are 4 stages. Common souls, someone that is only interested in themselves and their family. Their desires are very strong and centered around themselves and their immediate experience. Notice the 2 concepts explained earlier, desire as weight and desire as space. Common souls only produce day-to-day ideas, how one should behave, traditions, what is accepted in a society, etc. The second stage, noble souls. Someone that is very interested in their larger community and science. It takes 80,000 years to go from common soul to noble soul. Aside from day-to-day ideas, they also produce governance ideas. Governance ideas are answers to questions of leadership. In a way, they have become exhausted with their personal world, with their own personal desires only. They have realized the power of the community, the power of the pen over the sword. They are looking for underlying algorithms for the country and for the natural world. They are looking to improve the country and the world, to minimize suffering and maximize well-being. The third stage, Ascetic Souls. Growing from a noble soul to an ascetic soul takes about 8,000 years in minds of nations. By ascetic, we don't mean someone that mortifies their body, but rather a soul with incarnations that have fewer desires. They are mostly interested in transcendence. Once a soul reaches a certain stage, he explores techniques beyond education. Thus, aside from day-to-day ideas and governance ideas, they also produce spiritual methods, meditations, dreaming techniques, contemplations. Those are techniques that dig at a level beyond words. They can generate weightlessness in this way. They let go of strong ideas about the world that generate strong gravity, strong ideas about who they are. They work with attention and observe their biological programming, emotional programming, societal programming, media programming, academic programming, all in an effort to find their true self and/or God, something that transcends the world of words and this biochemical prison, something that is there permanently pure, a gate to a different existence, a heaven, a new dimension. Who knows? The fourth stage, freed souls. This is the last level, when someone becomes free of gravity, when they have nothing pulling them towards the planet. They are free to roam the cosmos in search of a new place that pulls them. They produce the most ideas. They produce ideas at every level of existence. Day-to-day ideas, governance ideas, and spiritual methods. Becoming a freed soul takes 350 years after one becomes an ascetic. All these cycles can be slowed or quickened. PTSD and regret as gravity means slower progress. Looking at history, it is my impression that sieges have produced some gruesome atrocities, with many non-combatants victimized in the process. Thus, in Minds of Nations, every siege you make increases the cycle length for common and noble souls, the period after which they promote to the next level. The idea is that noble souls are the leaders of the community that orders those sieges, and we've seen in our own recent history how some presidents regret their military interventions. I would assume that in a possible future life, they might want to redress some of the wrongs. This, in turn, means that they would spend an entire life trying to redress the wrong, to serve the community they hurt or badly damaged. Without that decision to attack in the first place, to siege, this next life may have been spent in more productive ways for mankind as a whole. Maybe in technology, maybe in other acts of service instead of acts of repair, I don't know. And the common soul cycle is increased because they are the one implementing those orders. We've seen the gruesome effects that PTSD has on returning veterans. For every year PTSD derails a form of veteran's life, the whole of society suffers. Education, charity, others, and community means faster progress. Many ideological options will decrease the cycle for commoners and nobles. Educational options, giving resource stockpiles to charity, and other community-related ideas will decrease the cycle. The spiritual methods will mostly decrease ascetic soul cycle. This faster progress from commoner to freed also means more ideas to invest in your nation. So look out for effects throughout the game called common soul cycle, noble soul cycle, ascetic soul cycle. Everything that lowers these cycles means more ideas for you. Short summary. Reincarnation exists, and it affects a nation in terms of ideas. Ideas about what would be best in terms of traditions, governance, and spirit, so that the community survives and prospers, and secondly, as many people as possible achieve their potential. Number 2. The planet has a kind of magnetism that keeps someone that joins a planet locked on it until this magnetism vanishes. 3. This magnetism can be increased through regret by hurting others, and sieges are the prime culprit, or through frustration by a sense of not achieving one's potential. 4. This magnetism can be decreased by education that gives you more tools to understand the world around you. You go from a single explanation of events happening to you to dozens or more. This means more freedom, less fanaticism, more openness and less violence, which means less regret later, thus less magnetism. Once a soul reaches a certain stage, he explores techniques beyond education. Those are ascetic souls that develop spiritual methods too. 6. Freed souls are freed from the shackles of a single planet, of a single nation. They are free to explore the unknown. Religious references. Christianity and Buddhism both reference a form of release, a form of freedom at some point in a human's development. Buddhism talks about enlightenment and the freedom from the cycle of rebirth, arahantship. This happens through 4 stages: stream entry, once returner, non-returner, and arahant. Someone who reaches stream entry, it is said that he will return 7 more times, so that would be around 350 years. Now you can see where we get some of our ideas. A once returner will only return once, and the non-returner will complete his development in a different plane. To reach stream entry, one needs to meditate for some time and go through a series of meditative stages. Stages are differentiated by the sensations and mental events that occur during meditation. I've included those in the spiritual methods section as I understood them from books, which I've included in the description. The Buddha describes these 4 levels of fruition in terms of desire as well. These levels are also described in terms of what personal transformations occur after each one and how each stage is likely to affect your personality and well-being. Christianity talks about salvation too, but it's explained a bit differently, and our game is more loosely based on Buddhism. I would assume they are talking about the same stuff ultimately, but the cultural baggage makes for a different reading. I may also be wildly wrong. Either way, we borrow some concepts from everywhere really and modify them a bit. It's a game and we speculate in terms of what-ifs and in-game variables. I'm not trying to convert anyone, but to create a fun game with a few new layers that I have not seen in previous grand strategy games. I've added meditation techniques and contemplation techniques from Christianity, Theravada Buddhism, and other religions or mystery cults as spiritual options. Each has a bibliography where you can read further about this stuff. I do like the effort spent with the psyche, with the mind, with emotions, with pure concentration that each religion or mystery school has developed. Ways to trigger visions of the future or other worlds, ways to develop inner peace and happiness in what was until recently a very hard existence. If anything, that's something I do find fascinating and encourage others to explore. Deeper ways of perception and being is certainly one of the axes of development in religion that seems to me is not as promoted as their ethical guidelines, community building, and stories about the world's genesis. Not that either of the latter are not important in their own right. I hope this clears up the soul concept a bit. Let me know if you need more information. Thank you for watching.